I'm Dana with Frequency555.com. We're here with Sumi Komo in her lovely home in Austin, Texas.
So I have a studio here. It is basically a Zen Buddhist temple, and within the temple I have movement meditation practices. I teach counseling, or I do counseling. I teach yoga, meditation, and dance, which is called Zen Dance. And in all the practices that I do, including the Tai Chi, Chuan, and Qigong, I'm really working with people finding a place where stillness exists within their movement, which is what is so wonderful in terms of dance. I worked with Merce, Cunningham and Carolyn in New York many years ago. And so my lineage is the Cunningham lineage in terms of modern dance, although I've studied all of it. And I had a company in Oregon and in England, and then we came back to the States, and I had a company in Colorado, and now I have a pickup company I've had on and off here in Austin.
Merce Cunningham, who you worked with, he was really a forerunner in postmodern. He did a lot of chants and a lot of exploration where he would just stand on stage and that would be his performance. He really
broke the boundaries.
Yes, to the next level.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And that is what I'm working with now. So I have been doing the Alexander technique for a very long time. We can just say a few decades. But I did start with the Alexander technique when I was dancing professionally in New York, and it made such a huge difference in my dance. First of all, it was easier, I was lighter, I was faster, all the things you want to be able to do. And then I actually had a very bad accident, and so I really needed the work. At the time when I first started studying Alexander, I just thought, all performers do Alexander. Musicians, dancers, singers, artists, and mostly actors. So that's how I got involved with it. And then once I had this accident, I really needed the work. And my first teacher, whose name was Sumi Komo, who's still in New York or on Long Island, she had been a dancer. So it was wonderful for me to work with her. I'm also trained as a dance therapist. And I was looking at dance in a holistic way, even back then. I'm looking at dance and yoga, and I'm trained as a yoga teacher, dance and therapy and counseling, and then the Alexander technique of creating my own training, which would include Alexander technique, Zen meditation, yoga, Tai Chi, and Qigong, so that people really have a way of working with someone in movement. And the movement forms of Tai Chi, Chuan, and Qigong are so connected to Alexander. Because it's about a certain quality of energy and alignment that affects just how we are and who we are. And so Alexander was able to figure this out. And then the Zen meditation, again, is the same thing. You can't meditate like this. You've got to meditate with an organized system so that you're not in pain and so that the energy can flow. I have just recently been ordained in Liverpool, England, the home of the Beatles, as a Zen Buddhist priestess. I also do Jin Shin Iyutsu, which is a Japanese form of acupressure. But it's not acupressure, it's working with energy and flows. It's a very complex, amazing system.
You said you did Cranial Sacral Therapy as well.
Yes, I do. And I trained at the Upledger Institute, which is a center in Florida, and they do trainings all over. And I also trained with osteopaths in England.
Great. Sumi gave us a tour of her environmentally conscious Zen Buddhist temple. They built above the surface, allowing the roots room to grow, and used natural maple that was harvested sustainably.
The center circle of lights and everything dims, so I can change the lighting that way. It's, you know, but these are the coolest.
Yeah.
See, and they have the color. I don't know how much you know about Indian teachings, but those are the colors of the chakras. And I just had a performance actually last, whatever it was, the 19th. I had a dance performance in here with my company.
All of the materials used to construct this edition are eco-friendly, including Energy Star appliances, natural bamboo floors, and the use of non-toxic paints and sealants.
How do we live our lives in such a way that we express ourselves creatively, whatever our gifts are, whether it's music or dance or painting or making films or creating websites, and how do we live consciously? And that's where we get into the ecology and environmental area stewards of the earth. How could we dare to not take care of the resources? Because that is not being conscious or caring, because the earth needs to be cared for as well. So everything I did in the studio, from the way I talked to this tree and, you know, gave the roots of the tree space before I built the center, to what I put in the walls and how I used the wood and everything else. Every part of it was about being conscious and taking care not to misutilize our resources. So, and I think people feel it when they come into the space.
People who are really in tune with that, you can really tell by the sense of even the colors and the energy and the vibe.
Yeah, that's another thing that I do is Feng Shui. And Feng Shui is very important because how do we live in the spaces that we create? They need to be designed in such a way that the chi and the energy flows, and they also need to uplift us and energize us. Typically, we are, as human beings, very reactive and very habituated. So we live our lives in such a way that we're ruled by our habits. So what Alexander does is encourage you to become aware of what you're thinking, what you're doing. If you're holding your shoulder up like this and you go, oh, I have a lot of pain in my shoulder, well, you have to know that you could not do that.
Right.
What I like to describe the work as is bringing the light of conscious awareness to our unconscious habitual patterns so that we can live a more harmonious life. Okay, so my book is called Dancing with Alexander. So I need whatever dancers want to come and talk with me, but I've been working with this for over 30 years, and that's my passion.
And your website is?
And my website is alexandermovingarts.com.